Come on, China, what's the matter with Canadian canola? Welcome to another video from Gweilo 60. Today we're going to be talking about Canadian canola and the Chinese not taking Canadian canola anymore. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. You see, with the pork that they decided that they weren't going to take, yeah, I agree that, and everybody knows that I'm sort of pro-Chinese, but I'm not stupid. I see what's right and what's wrong in the world in my own mind, you know what I mean? But yeah, the pork, because China was sending meat products to China that had a banned substance. I can imagine that it makes sense for China to say, no, we're not going to take these meat products, and we're going to stop importing them until Canada gets their act together and you know, doesn't send us products that have that have banned substances in them. Well, just think if China sent banned substances to Canada, Canada would say, yeah, no, we're not going to take these, and they'd stop importing that product until such time as China, you know, decided to get their act together. So, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yes, soya. Well, you know, I don't much know about. Isn't this is a canola field? I'll get to this in a minute. Okay, but you know, soya. I don't know much about soya. But I do know that China just made a big deal with the United States to take a whole shitload of soybean from the States. Well, they're not getting any Canadian soya because they don't import the soya here. And that goes back to the trade deal between the United States and China. And when I made that video, you know, the United States throwing Canada under the bus, well, it was what I said there is happening right now. Yesterday they made the deal, and they're buying soya like crazy off the States, and they're not buying it from Canada because they've got to make that deal with the States. Try to make Trump happy, yeah. So anyway, so they said that, oh, there's what is it? Pest seeds in Canadian canola. Pest seeds, weed seed. So it's not all canola. Well, I thought that I'd investigate this myself, and so I'm in my old stomping grounds of Saskatchewan. Yes, I am. And I thought I'd hit a canola field, and I've seen a lot of them over the years. You know, I grew up on a farm and stuff, so I thought I'd get into a canola field and show you exactly what it looks like. Okay, now this is a regular Canadian canola field in bloom. Nice, eh? Look at it. In this whole field, show me one weed. Just one weed. Now there are no weeds in the canola field. So China made a mistake. I agree with the pork. I don't know much about the soy. I think it was to do with the trade stuff and whatever. But I do know about the canola, and they made a mistake because what are they doing? They're depriving their citizens of a world-class product for an excellent price. Yes, and you know, they're going to probably go to the States to get their canola. Not as good a product. Or Russia to get canola. Not as good a product as Canada. You know, so they're depriving their citizens of a world-class product and for a good price, and they're depriving the Canadian farmers of income. Is this going to stop the Canadian farmers from producing canola? No. See, Canada is a rich country. We really don't care if China doesn't buy our canola, because we can find markets for our canola anywhere else in the world, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So I figure China is sort of pooching themselves in a way, because Canada will now say, well, you see, it's easier to sell it to China because they bought 40% of all of our canola up until now. But what Canada's doing now is they're finding new markets for their canola. Yeah, they are. And before long, all of this canola will be going to South America, to Europe, to Vietnam or Indonesia, Singapore, Australia, different places like that, even Ecuador and Argentina. So Canada will be able to sell their canola. Yeah, it'll take a little bit more time. It'll be a little bit tougher. But after we have those inroads and those markets open, China will be coming back and saying, well, okay, now our little dispute is over. We want to buy your canola. And Canada's going to say, no. We can sell you some, but we can't sell you all of it. And it's going to be at a higher price because why? Oh, why? You don't know why? Okay, I'll tell you why. You're an unreliable buyer. China has proven themselves to be an unreliable buyer because they used political influence in trade. Okay, what does that mean? Well, you've got China issues export licenses to Viterra and these other big buyers of canola in Canada, and they ship it abroad. So they get export licenses. Well, if there's a political thing like Meng Wanzhou, yes, it's all Meng Wanzhou, you guys, and we've already made a video about that. And China uses their influence, their buying power, to influence the politics of another country, like Canada. Canada will say, "Oh yeah, well that hurts a little bit, but you know, we'll get over it. It's not a big deal." And then they come back and they say, "Oh, yeah, well, we want to buy your products again." No. It'll be more expensive because you're an unreliable buyer. It's sort of like going to the bank and getting a loan. If you're a really good person that pays your bills all the time, yeah, that's good. And if you're a little bit risky, well, the interest rates go up. The price of doing business goes up. And that's exactly what's going to happen to China when they come back to Canada for their canola. And yes, we have the best canola in the world, and everybody in the world knows that. So China is sort of pooching themselves on this one. This isn't just going to impact the relationship between Canada and China. This is going to impact the relationship between China and other countries that sell products to China. And you don't think that the other countries that sell to China are watching what's happening in the Canadian-Chinese situation here? Of course they are, because it has to do with their economic future. If they can take these export licenses away from Canada because of some political thing that they figure Canada has done, well, why can't they do that to any other country that's selling to China? So they're sort of losing face on the world stage, the world market stage. It'll be harder for Chinese buyers to buy off of these countries just for the fact that they're unreliable. Okay, the export license is there, we're going to buy this much next year, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we're not going to buy that much next year because you're having a tiff between the two governments. Well, that shouldn't make much difference. And then using pest seed as an excuse, as I say, look at this. There's not one, you got to investigate and say, here, not one weed in this whole crop, and all of the Canadian crops are like that. So these other countries are going to say, no, if we can sell our product to these other guys rather than China, or we'll sell a little bit to China, but we won't get invested in China. There's no way in the future Canada will sell 40% of any of their crops to China, because if China is going to try to use their economic influence to influence our government's decisions, we're not going to roll that way, and that's just the way it is. And neither is any other country. Well, maybe a weaker country, maybe a poorer country like, I don't know, Belarus. You know what I mean? Sure, or I don't know, Ecuador or Costa Rica, maybe, but not a country like Canada, not a big producer of agricultural products, because We really don't need the Canadian or the Chinese buyers. You know, it makes it easier for us, but we don't need them. And everybody knows that I'm pro Chinese, but I see that China has made a big mistake in this, and they're losing. They're losing respect on the world stage by doing something like this. If this keeps up much longer, China will lose access to these world-class products, and they'll have to go with second-rate products because the guys that are at the top of the heap and can sell their products to anybody they want to won't be selling to China. That's going to be a problem for the Chinese government and the Chinese people, because they won't get the good products that they're used to, and it's all because of some import inspector making a decision. Or was it the import inspector, or was it the Chinese government? I don't know about that, but I do know that China has made a colossal mistake on this one. I don't think it's too late for China yet. You know, I think that they can take the high road on this one. Sure, I don't believe in the Meng Wanzhou thing. I think that Canada made a mistake there, and if I see a government making a mistake in my mind, I'll say it. Canada made a mistake, and they shouldn't have arrested Meng Wanzhou. I know that, but China should have taken the high road and dealt with it in a different way. The way that they're dealing with it right now is like sort of two little children fighting. And yes, when it comes to our government, Trudeau, come on, he's a part-time drama teacher. It's be like the Ukraine. What was it a couple months ago, or not even a month ago? Trudeau and the Ukrainian president, the new Ukrainian president, a comedian and a part-time drama teacher get together, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to shit on Russia by not accepting the Ukrainian passports of the Russian people. If they're carrying a Ukrainian passport, we won't honor it. They got to be carrying the Russian passport." You know, well, you get a comedian and a part-time drama teacher making rules for the world? No. So when they arrested Meng Wanzhou, China should have looked at it and said, well, yeah, it's only a short time because Trudeau's going to be out in October, and then we'll be dealing with Scheer. Oh, and Scheer, he ain't going to take this lying down, guys. He'll dig his heels in, and there won't be any canola going to China, and there won't be any soy. And they say, we want pork because we've had pig diseases in China, and we've had to cull a good number of our stock. Canada will say, no, we've already found a market for those pigs that you didn't want last year, type thing. So yeah, China, you should take the high road, walk back a step or two, and start buying at least Canadian canola from Canada, because it is the best product, and there is no weed seed or pest seed in the Canadian canola. Well, that's another rant from Gweilo 60, coming from you from a canola field in Saskatchewan, Canada, just outside Spiritwood. Yes, look it up on the map. We're in the middle of frickin' nowhere, and what a beautiful place to be. Look around you, guys. Show me one weed. China, you're wrong in this one. Anyway, that's another video from Gweilo 60. If you like this video, as always, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button, and thanks for watching. Bye now.